Welcome to the Dreamers Hub podcast. This podcast is about collaboration between the dreamers and the doers to inspire more people to do more of the things that they enjoy doing. This hub is focused on providing you the kick in the ass you need to jumpstart your dreams. So if you're into that kind of thing, consider subscribing. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dreamers Hub podcast. Yo, it's been a cool minute. I know it's been. I've been gone for a minute. You know what? I went through a little period of time where I was honestly just feeling a little lost. And I don't know if that's maybe something that anybody else is going through, but I hate to say it, but during these unprecedented times, it's one of those things that we just don't know what we don't know. And so we're just continuing on the year not knowing what the heck is happening and figuring out. And there's just so much stuff online that it's so hard to easily just like have everything just like discourage you. And I think for a lot of the last, I don't know, a few weeks, maybe a month or so, that's kind of what I've been feeling, is just like a lot of negativity coming from the internet. And it kind of just fucks with you. And I think I fell into like this little rut in a sense of like, does anything even really matter anymore? Does this podcast even matter? Are people really even trying to do anything this year? Like, and the whole purpose of this podcast is to inspire and uplift people to, you know, get out and do something, take that next step. And I felt like almost like, how can I ask people to do something like this during these times? And I can't even get myself to do like one thing. And it took a minute for me to like get out of that mindset, because one, it's a lot of negative self-talk, but the other thing, it's like, it was almost like I was allowing these times, quote unquote, to like really take over me to not be productive. And me as an individual, like, I hate not being productive. I feel like I always have to be doing something. And it's like, sure, there was a time period where I was really enjoying my downtime, but now I'm at the point where like 6 months in, I'm just like, damn, I'm really not doing anything. And a lot of that just came from like just having like this internal battle with myself of like really figuring out what I actually want to do, what actually makes me happy, what things I enjoy doing, like really just sitting down with myself. And I've mentioned this before about sitting down with your own thoughts. It's sometimes really hard to dig deep, and sometimes you know that you can dig deep. You just choose not to because you want to find a reason not to be productive or not to do that one thing. Almost like you're looking for that. Almost like you're looking for that hurdle to stop you because you are just feeling lazy, and that's what it is. And sometimes I think like, you know, part of me, maybe that's what it was. I was feeling a little lost, but I think I was just like unhappy in some areas. And it just took me a minute to like really just, you know, dig deep, and sometimes that's what we need. And I think that's what I needed, where now I've found this new energy within me now that I've really been focusing on myself, my health, my mental health, my physical health. Obviously, I got a coach, so it's really helping me just like, not only like as far as like what the fuck I'm eating or like working out. It's, I think that action alone, those two things between eating healthy and just making sure I'm being active, really opens up another area of my life, which I can really hone in on, and I can really just like give the energy to. And that area of my life is just like me being creative. That's one of the things I really enjoy doing. And that comes in different formats. And I know a lot of people give me shit because I'm kind of like all over the place, but I really do enjoy a lot of different things. And I don't think that anybody should be like honed into just one thing. You're in a time period right now, and especially this year, to really try out whatever the fuck you want. There is no better year to actually get into action, to actually do something than now. Because if it doesn't work out, well, fuck it. It doesn't really work out. But if it does, then shit, you're already closer to making that thing that much more successful. I want to break this down into just like 3 tidbits, I guess, that I've really felt like have really helped me out. And if this helps somebody out, then good, I'm glad. But I really want to focus on 3 things that I feel like somebody in that kind of position should really focus on. And the first one is stopping or putting to a halt the negative self-talk that you do. I think that it's obviously toxic to negative, like to have a negative self-talk is really toxic, but it's just, I feel like it makes, like when you know you're, let's say have a long day ahead, or you know that, um, shit, you got to go to work and you really don't want to, or, there's certain things as an adult that we just have to do that don't want to do, but you have to do. And going in with a negative mindset to that task or event already makes you feel 10 times worse than what it been had you just had a positive mindset. So if number one, I would say focus on not being so negative with your thoughts. Focus on what that one thing is going to bring you on that day so that you're able to get through the day a little bit easier. Nobody wants your hard day already to be harder. If that's just like a quick shift that you can do internally. I think a lot of us focus on too much of the negative, and we need to start focusing on the positive of what that is that might be bringing us that we don't necessarily want to do. There's always something positive. You just have to find it. And it's a lot harder to find it than to just bitch and complain. The easiest thing you can do is just bitch and complain about that one thing you don't want to do. When you shift your mindset to be that, you make it a lot easier on yourself. You make it more pleasurable to be around you. Because nobody likes that negative person. Nobody likes that negative self-talk. If you allow yourself to talk to yourself negatively, it just reflects in ugly ways. And that in itself just kind of makes it harder. And like I said, you don't want to make anything harder for yourself. Just make it a little bit easier. And I know why we do it too, because I know when I'm doing it to myself, it's because I'm being lazy. It's because I want to find an excuse to not do it. I want to find something to put the blame on, and I just can't at the end of the day. If I really dig deep and I really like look at myself and I'm like, damn, I want to do this, I want to do that. Why haven't I done it? It's because, simply put, I want to be lazy. I don't want to put the effort in. So I come up with all these excuses, and that in itself is toxic. It's negative. And so that's one of my recommendations to you guys is just fix the way you talk to yourself. The way you talk to yourself affects you in so many areas of your life that if you just fix that one thing and fixate on something positive about that negative thing, it'll make your day a lot easier. I promise. Tip number 2. Tip number 2 is focus on something you actually want to do. Focus on something that deserves your time. Focus on something that makes you happy. As long as you focus on something that you want to do, that you've been wanting to do, you've been trying to do, and you can put like your full effort into that one thing, it's going to bring you so much joy. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, bringing yourself joy by simply doing the things you want to do goes really far in relations to just being happy overall. And when you're happy overall, when you feel that internal happiness of just you being happy, that really just like shows in you. And like, that's one of the things that people want to be around. People want to be around happy people. People want to be around good energy people. You can't be a person with good energy, and you can't be positive. You can't be those things if you, one, don't break the negative self-talk. And 2, if you're really not doing things that make you happy. And I'm not saying go fucking quit your job. I'm saying like on your downtime, there's something that you want to be able to focus on. There's something that you want to, whatever it is, if it's a project, a passion project, if it's your fitness, if it's your health, if it's anything, you want to learn something, you want to learn a new trade. Like, those are the things that you should find within yourself to really figure out as to what brings you joy. And when you have that internally, and when you can focus on that thing, you will find another level of happiness that you probably never even felt. And the last thing is take ownership of your own shit. Like, take ownership of your mindset. Take ownership of why you're feeling down. Take ownership of all your feelings and all your emotions. Figure out what the heck it is you want. And after you figure that out, the best thing you can put behind it is action. Action in itself, doing the things, actually taking baby steps into whatever it is you're trying to do, is like self-inspiring. It's like self-motivating. And the more you do things and the more that you feel like you get better at, the more you almost want to do it, and then you look forward to it. Like, but that can never happen if you don't take ownership of your shit. Like, you need to know, damn, that's my bad. That's my negative self-talk. That's me being lazy. Like, you need to be able to have those conversations with yourself to really address yourself the way you should. Because sometimes some people don't like being talked to a certain way. And sometimes people won't tell you the things that you want to hear. And if you do have those kind of people, you should be grateful that you do have those kind of people that call you out on your shit, because you need those kind of people in your life. But in terms of social distancing 2020, sometimes you're not around people. Sometimes you're not around people long enough to be able to have those deep conversations, to be able to really get into the meats and potatoes of how you're feeling. And sometimes you can't do it over the phone. Sometimes you can't do it over FaceTime. So sometimes it's up to you to really take action, to really take ownership of your own feelings and emotions. You're not always going to have a cheerleader. You're not always going to have somebody pushing you and motivating you. You're just not. And it's up to you to really be putting that work in when nobody's looking, when nobody's around. And it doesn't have to all be fixed in one day, you know? Once you figure it out what it is, and once you figure out, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. It's all baby steps. Like, small progress is still progress. Stop thinking you have to have it all figured out when you really don't. A lot of the things that I jump into, a lot of the things that I do, I just figured out as I go. And sometimes, like, me doing it and figuring it out, like, just really amps me up. Like, it really hypes me up internally. Like, it makes me feel good that I can figure something out. Sometimes on my own, sometimes I'll ask for help. Should I need it? But majority of the stuff, like, literally is all online, right? But I think there's a gratification that comes with learning something. There's a gratification that comes with you doing it all yourself. And there's something so gratifying about saying, fuck yes, I can move on to the next step. Where that in itself, it's self-inspiring, it's self-motivating. And it's all by you simply taking ownership, taking action, figuring out what it is you're trying to do, and pushing yourself beyond anything. Being able to push yourself is not an easy task. Being able to self-motivate yourself is not an easy task by no means. But once you figure it out, and once you start doing these little things that you enjoy doing, and once you start, see yourself figuring it out, once you start doing things that, like, you're like, oh, damn, I did that. Like, you will, at that point, will realize that you really didn't need anybody else, that you could really do it yourself if you really just applied yourself. But without those 3 steps, breaking negative self-talk, finding something that you can focus on, or finding something that you could put your energy into, and taking ownership, none of that's going to happen. You're going to sit and you're going to wallow, you're going to complain, you're going to bitch. You're not going to be happy where you're at. And remember, there's no such thing as perfect. Some progress is better than no progress. I truly believe that with those 3 steps, you can really do some damage in the sense of you inspiring yourself. The minute you are able to inspire yourself by simply taking action is when you really get that momentum going. And once that momentum is going and that fire is lit inside you, there's nothing else that can stop you, because you will figure out a way. And that's like the biggest thing. And when you start doing these things and you start, self-motivating and self-inspiring yourself just by simply taking action, and taking baby steps to those things that you're trying to do, you start inspiring other people in a weird way. You start, people start looking up to you. People start noticing. People notice things that you're doing. People are aware of what you're doing. Some people will talk shit, and no matter what, that's always going to exist. That's besides the point. The other thing is, though, for the people that are looking at you, the people that admire you from afar, those people will pay attention to you. Those people will support you. And those are the people that are going to matter at the end of the day. But it starts with you. Inspiring by doing is something that everybody can do. Because all that means is just take the step. Take the leap. That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate the constant support. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Peace. Now hold up. Before we part ways, I want to thank you for listening in. I'd appreciate you helping me inspire others like yourself by simply sharing this podcast with a friend. While you're at it, if you found value in this podcast, I'd love for you to rate it on Apple Podcasts. Be sure to tune in for more inspirational content next week.